Hi, good morning. Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Divija and I'm a counseling psychologist. I'll write stuff here. Wow, I'm getting awkward again. Sorry. I asked my followers on Instagram. Sorry about the traffic sounds. So, I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me questions about being a psychologist, like what it's like and stuff. So, I'm going to be answering those in this video. I decided to make this video because there's a lot of weird misrepresentation and misinformation about being psychologists in the world. For example, people think we can read minds or that we can read faces, and how we're like magical beings who shouldn't feel angry or sad. So there's a lot of weird expectations that come with this profession, and I thought this would be a fun and entertaining way to kind of just tell you what it's like to be a psychologist. Don't you get depressed by hearing their story? Okay, first of all, being depressed is a clinical thing, it's a disorder, so I would suggest that you don't use that term casually. Instead, you could have asked, don't you get sad or affected or just gloomy hearing their stories? Okay, to answer the question, not really, because we don't have to hear it 24/7, right? We just hear it in the therapeutic setting, which is usually 1 hour or whatever, 45 minutes, depending on the therapist. And because it is controlled and we have boundaries in the sense that we're not going to be talking to them 24/7 and they can't message us all the time with like their problems or something, so it doesn't wear us down. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself. So it doesn't wear me down because it's quite controlled and structured. Sometimes I do get affected if somebody's telling me something really extremely traumatic or something really sad. Of course, I'm going to feel sad, I'm a human being. But that's okay because I don't let it affect the session. In fact, it's just a way of me understanding their feelings better. On the other hand, I'll give you a good example of this. So like, because it's structured, I don't get that affected. On the other hand, if somebody DMs me on Instagram, by the way, Instagram is not therapy, so I can't really give advice over DMs or something, but people don't know that because they think that I'm available 24/7 or something. So they'll message me with their problems and stuff, then, and if I read it, then I get affected. Like, I do feel really bad, and it's actually worse then because I can't do anything and I just send helpline numbers to people. So yeah. How many sessions a day are you realistically able to spit in? So for me, I'm not just a therapist, I'm also a content creator. I make videos on Instagram and YouTube, and I also tweet, and I'm also on LinkedIn, so I'm doing a lot of things. And I also have a small business with my parents, so I personally can only take up to 1 to 3 sessions per day, and that's not normal. Usually people are able to take 4 to 5, but that's like 5 to and beyond that is also extreme because since we're also people, like there's only a limit to which we can take sessions. It also depends on you, to be honest, because like for example, I'm not able to take more because since I'm in the creative field where I have to really think of ideas about making videos and stuff, I have to have a slightly clear and free mind to be able to think of ideas for my videos. And if I take like a lot of sessions, and that also like 3-4 days in a row or something, my mind is not able to do that because I realized after a while of working as a therapist that I need to not take that many sessions to think freely. Also, a lot of therapists outside India, from like I follow a lot of them on Instagram, I've noticed that not all of them even work on every day of the week or something. Some of them like to do a lot of sessions and then take a few days off. I, on the other hand, I mostly work like throughout the week. I don't take any days off. Like by chance sometimes I do, but I don't take any weekends off or something. So instead of taking a lot of sessions in one day, I just kind of divide it into different days. As being a psychologist in India, do you get the same respect and recognition for your work as you would anywhere in abroad? Uh, so surprisingly, there's a lot of stigma and stuff, and like I said, a lot of misrepresentation about therapists. But surprisingly, people treat me with like a lot of respect. At least the people that I meet, they're like kind of surprised that I'm a therapist, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're like a doctor." Like they kind of treat me like you would treat a doctor, and I was really surprised by that because they give me more respect knowing that I'm a therapist. This could be coming from that place where people think that therapists know everything and they know the answers to life or whatever. That could be the reason why people treat me like that. But I don't think I have ever met anyone like after starting to do my work, like I've never met anyone who looks down upon this profession. I have met many people who look down upon studying psychology, but once I became a psychologist, they started respecting me. It was very weird. Do you want to know if you all use those devices to record the sessions like in series? As far as I know, you're not really supposed to record sessions. I have never recorded a session. I feel like that would be a breach of confidentiality, and why would you do that? And also, like, how do you have the time to go through the entire session? Do you ever learn stuff for your own life when listening to or guiding someone? Yeah, of course, I learn a lot from my clients. Like that's what I like about therapy. I am, of course, being the therapist and I am helping them. I also learn a lot from their life experiences. It's kind of like reading a book or, watching a TV show. I know this sounds really weird, but that is how it is. Because we learn from our environment, we also learn from our conversations with people. So, of course, I learn a lot from my clients. Because therapy is not like a process where I am above the client and they are below me, kind of like a doctor and patient situation where the doctor is the one who has all the answers. It's therapy is not like that. So we collaborate with the client. We don't treat them, if you get what I mean. Can a person who struggles with anxiety and depression pursue psychology and excel in it? Of course, why not? Like, I know so many psychologists who have been through things and they themselves are really good psychologists. And even I personally, I used to have so much anxiety, like, especially social anxiety. I am awkward as a person. So, I'm really awkward in huge groups. I get anxious. And in general, also, like, everyone goes through anxiety. So, and of course, I've had bad times in my life. Therapists are human beings. We all go through problems. You can be a good therapist if you go through something. You can be a good therapist if you haven't had anxiety and depression either. It's not related. Do psychologists actually get clients and get busy if they're just doing that and nothing else? Yeah, of course. I mean, I know that people think that people don't go for therapy in India, but that's really not true. A lot of people go to therapy. It's just that nobody tells anyone. I'm sure most of my clients don't tell people. In fact, I know many of my clients have told me that they haven't told anyone, their friends or someone. So, to answer your question, yeah, there's a lot of people going for therapy in India. It's just a secret. Do you analyze your friend's behavior during a fight or in general? I analyze it as much as I would if I was someone who was not a psychologist. Like, I stopped being a psychologist outside the therapy room because, I mean, it's tiring, like I can't be a psychologist 24/7. So, no, not really. I only do it as much as you would as a person who is studying something else. Do parents ask you about their child, like what did they say in therapy? Yeah, a lot of parents do that, but I don't tell them because I personally don't think that it's right. And if the child is my client, then why would I tell the parent what the child is saying to me? Because it's supposed to be confidential, and I think that's how it should be. I know a lot of therapists don't believe this, but that's just a difference of ideology, I guess. And when parents ask me, I ask the child client in advance, like what all can I tell your parent and what would you like me to talk to your parents about, and that's the only stuff that I tell the child. Sorry, that's the only stuff that I tell the parent, and vice versa. Like what the parent tells me, I don't tell the client unless and until the parent has told me that I want you to tell the client that. If you're overwhelmed listening to someone, is it okay to shed a tear or two? Yeah, of course, you can't control it all the time, like control yourself from crying. Although I have never done this, and I don't think that I think it depends on the situation and the client. So I feel like if you cry, like full on in front of your client because they are telling you something sad, then the client will feel obligated to kind of comfort you, and I think that kind of changes the dynamic and it's not right. So as much as you can control, don't cry. You can cry after the session. I mean, if that's okay. It, on the other hand, it can also be a good tool to get closer to your client, but then like I feel like it's a very risky this thing, crying in front of your client. Do patients fall in love with the psychologist? Yeah, that's a very common thing that happens because of course you're getting intimate with someone like verbally and emotionally, and of course you might start having feelings for your psychologist. and that's very normal, and that doesn't mean that you have to stop therapy. As long as the psychologist knows it and you've told them openly, and you know they uphold the boundaries and you also uphold the boundaries. Like, don't try to ask them out like that would be wrong, but you can tell them and you can work through this thing together, and it's called transference. You can read up more about it on Google. Is it mentally straining and time taking? Can you spend time with family, and or are you busy all the time? It's as mentally straining as any other job, right? Like, it is hard work. You have to listen to someone and you have to find patterns in what they're saying, and there's a lot of stuff that you have to do. And our work is not just listening to people, you know, it's also to keep reading on the side so that you're up to date with new stuff that's happening in the field, and also to keep improving your knowledge. So it's like any other job. It's your choice if you want to spend time with family or not. I feel that someone who wants to spend time with family will make time to spend time with their family. Is the job of a clinical psychologist and counseling psychologist the same in India? So I'm putting the difference between a clinical and a counseling psychologist over here. It takes a lot of effort to become a clinical psychologist, and sadly in India, a lot of hospitals and institutes seem to hire counseling psychologists as clinical psychologists, and they'll expect the same kind of work from them, which is really not right. But unfortunately, people don't know the difference, and people don't really care. They just want to underpay all of us. So yeah, a lot of people, even though they're not the same and we're not trained in the same way, and the kind of cases we can see are different, a lot of places actually give them the same amount of work and the same kind of salary. At the same time, of course, there's also other hospitals that are like more aware, and it's not like that everywhere. But you have to be careful that you don't take on work that you are not qualified to do. To overcome imposter syndrome as a therapist. So this is a very common thing when you become a therapist right in the beginning, or even throughout your career. You will feel like you're not good enough because, you know, we have so much responsibility. People come to us with the problems, people come to us with a lot of trauma, a lot of things that nobody could help them with, and suddenly you have to, you know, help them. And it's a very long process sometimes, and you can also feel impatient and they can also feel impatient. And the only thing I would say is that you have to know that you can't know everything, and you need to accept that you will never know everything, never know enough about this field, never know enough about human beings, and you'll have to keep learning. And in fact, I think it's kind of good to have imposter syndrome to some extent as a therapist, because that means that you don't think that you know everything. And I feel like that's a good thing, because then you know, you will keep learning and you'll keep improving yourself as a therapist. To get over it all you have to do is just keep getting more experience and keep taking feedback from your clients. You know, like, tell them, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me. Like, I want you to be open, and you will not always do everything right, because you're not a superhuman. You're a person. And the more you communicate with your clients, the more feedback that you get, I think the better you will feel about yourself, if you're doing good, if not, what you can work on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with people who are studying psychology. I think it'll be helpful.